ladies and gentlemen, as we call this meeting to order, let us first all stand together as we have our national anthem.
Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean sea. This our native land, we pledge our lives to thee. Every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Thank you. Please remain standing for a short moment of prayer. Dear God, we thank you for assembling us here today in harmony, solidarity, and friendship. Guide us in our deliberations, temper our emotions, help us to be responsible and mature in our judgment, and to respect the views of our fellow men so that we can consider other voices of reason, logic, honesty, and sincerity. Lord, make wisdom our guide and give us our strength in our weaknesses. When we meet problems, give us courage to face them and the resolve to till the moral soil so that we can cultivate acceptable principles and solutions to our problems. Dear God, let our meeting be in accord with your wishes, satisfying to ourselves and acceptable and comforting to all those who have placed their trust in our leadership and in our ability to serve with equity and justice. Amen. Om Shanti. Thank you. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the COP family, it is my distinct pleasure this evening to welcome the chairperson for tonight's program. She is as intelligent as she is beautiful and as kind as she is effective. She holds a master's degree in mass communications. She's our former candidate for Diego Martin Central. She is the CEO of NDG Communications and Consulting. She is our deputy chairperson of the Congress of the People. Please give a rousing welcome to Mrs. Nicole Dyer Griffith. Miss Vilini Pundit, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Vilini. And it's certainly a pleasure to join you here in Chaguanas this evening. I'd like to mention that we're live on 102.1 FM, WIN TV Channel 12, and Heritage Radio 101.7 FM. So ladies and gentlemen, you know, as is customary, I always ask that you give yourselves a rousing round of applause to let our viewing and listening audience hear and feel the power of the Congress of the People. You know, ladies
ladies and gentlemen, they gave me 5 minutes for chairman's welcome and so on, but I'm not in a mood to discuss welcoming remarks and so I'm in a mood to get straight into some real politics, because I'm sure, like me, many of you sometimes feel yourselves being pulled and tugged in many different political directions. We are seeing so many different political messages and inferences and statements coming across, and sometimes in the myriad of all of that you wonder, you stop and you ponder, are we getting the politics right? Are you hearing me? Are you with me? Do you not stop and wonder and ponder, are we getting the politics right? And as a matter of fact, I know that many people in our nation are asking the same question, because just yesterday, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce said that, political parties need to focus on the issues. And I am so happy that she made that comment, because it brought me back to the DNA of the COP. And when I say DNA, I mean that thing that makes you who you are, that thing that describes you, that thing that builds you into that being that you may become. DNA, of course, meaning deribonucleic acid. But that it is that thing that when someone can tell that you're a COP. When you walk the walk of a COP. When you speak the voice of a COP. And those are the things, that is the DNA that describes us. And when I hear perhaps comments about COP needs to change its DNA, I say absolutely not. I say no way, Jose. I say that the COP has a specific DNA that is characterized by things that we speak of, including campaign finance reform. We're not going to change that. The DNA of the COP speaks about getting the politics right. We're not going to change that. The DNA of the COP speaks about debating the national issues. We are not going to change that. The DNA of the COP speaks about people politics. We are not going to change that. The DNA of the COP speaks about local government reform. It speaks about constitutional reform. The DNA of the COP speaks about getting the politics right. We are not about all the extraneous issues that are of little value to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Do you agree with me? Yeah! So, ladies and gentlemen, to those who say that the COP has to change its DNA, I say, no way, Jose. What do you say? No way! Let's say it again. No way, Jose. I agree. When you become part of an organization, as a partner in an organization, of course you may have to make adjustments, you may have to change your personality, but you do not change your DNA. You may have to make certain adjustments to work with those you need to work with, but you do not change your DNA. I say no way, Jose. No way, Jose. We're not changing the DNA of the COP. Ladies and gentlemen, give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. And we're moving straight into the program this evening because we have a very packed program here for you. It's my pleasure to introduce this councillor. He is the outgoing councillor for the Enterprise North District of the Sugar-Owners Corporation. He was elected convincingly and has worked hard to serve all the burgesses he represents. He has accomplished several important projects, including road paving works in Das Straits, Endeavour and Mount Pleasant, building box drains and a pavilion. He has also assisted the sick and disabled person with wheelchairs with very little resources, something we're all very familiar with. Councillor Rambaran has tried to touch the lives of all in his district. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and give a rousing round of applause for Councillor Narsingh Rambaran.
What a moment, my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. What a moment. Today is a very historic day. For as a member of the Congress of the People since 2006, I have now gotten the opportunity to stand on a national platform to address the members of the Congress of the People and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I am here tonight as a member of the Congress of the People, but before I go straight into the business of the day, I want to let you all know that I was introduced to the Congress of the People by the present Senator of Water and Resources, Mr. Gaston, the former Member of Parliament for Shagwanas, Mr. Manohar Ramsaran, the past political leader of the Congress of the People, Mr. Winston Dukaran, and a good friend by the name of Mr. Naidu Powder. This all happened in 2006, ladies and gentlemen, at a birthday party by Mr. Manohar Ramsaran home, where Mr. Dukaran and other members of parliament and politicians were invited. In our presence was the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Basdeo Pandey. And there were times that he's mentioned to us and say that he's no longer attractive in the political arena. And there is something to be done whereby we can have a new leader for the United National Congress. So said, so done. And Mr. Dukaran was appointed leader of the United National Congress in 2006. But he met very trying and difficult times with members of the said party, United National Congress, who all treated him with disdain as a leader of the said party. It has become in such a time that it was frustrating to most of us until he decided, together with Mr. Manohar Ramsaran, to sit on the back bench. And from there on, our party, the Congress of the People, was formed. And the launch of our party was done at the headquarters of CONCACAF in Tacarigua. And from there on, our party built itself to a position until 2007, when we all gained 148,000 votes. And we went there from time to time and time to time. But ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I failed to thank the chairperson for tonight, Mrs. Nicole Taya Griffith, our deputy political leader, Mr. Lincoln Douglas, our deputy political leader, Mr. Anirudh Mahabir, our official and officer of the party, Mr. Kurt Sinnett, in my mid-CYC tonight, fellow councillors, brothers and sisters, and I now see the chairperson of our party, Mrs. Carlin Sipasad Becha, now arrive. We want to welcome you here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if I take some extra time, I hope that the chairperson will not manage me. For today, I am very proud to be here. Before I start my speech today, I want to make a public apology for what I did in 2009, where I voted and support Mr. Jack Warner in the removal of the mayor of Shagwanas, Dr. Suraj Ratan Rambachan. Today, I want to humbly apologize publicly for what I did, for I feel within myself, and I know after a month after that I was misled into doing something that will hamper me and hamper Trinidad and Tobago in the long run. For I had a foresight for the future that the greed for power, position and money, man and woman, or men and women will do anything for such. And today, it has lived to materialize in Trinidad and Tobago, for Mr. Jack Warner had betrayed me totally for my support. Several promises were made. Inclusive of that was the deputy mayor of Shagwanas. I want to remind all and the public to know that I never asked for anything. When he asked me for his support, I inquired to him, Mr. Warner, what will be my political future? And he mentioned to me, Narasingh, don't worry, your future will be even brighter than what it is. That never materialized. For in 2010, all that time, I was a member of the Congress of the People, supporting the Congress of the People and the then political leader, Mr. Winston Buchanan. I was chastised, I was abused by members of the said party for being a member of the Congress of the People, of which today your humble servant who stand here has no regret. My fellow brothers and sisters, this is something that was kept in my heart and mind for a long time. And I pray for the opportunity and the time when that moment will arise where I can tell the public what really transpired. With these few words, I will get down to the deeper part of my speech. Mr. Chairman of the party, political leader Honorable Prakash Ramada, honorable members of parliament, brothers and sisters, I wish to thank the member of our executive for inviting me to be part of this platform, the platform for truth, honesty, and integrity. We have facing us presently 2 elections. On Monday coming in Chaguanas West, and the order within 2 or 3 months from now, which is the local government election. I have served on the Chaguanas Borough Corporation for the last 3 years, and Friday will be the last day of the life of the council until the new council is elected. I have also served for 10 years in local government, and during this time, I have come to appreciate the close connection between meaningful local government and national development, a relationship that is recognized in the Local Government Manifesto 2010. This manifesto is the official policy of the Congress of the People, and it is a contractual relationship between the government and the people, and it is a contractual relation between the government and the people. We would have noticed that in the recent months, the Ministry of Local Government published a policy on local government reform, which is a subject to widespread consultation in all 14 corporations. In this regard, I wish to congratulate Dr. Surajatan Rambachan, the Minister of Local Government. This policy paper, although it does not capture all the changes proposed in our local government manifesto, it does not take the reform process further. Therefore, what I propose to speak about concerns of the matters in our manifesto, but which are not addressed in the policy paper. It is noted that in implementing the meaningful local government is perhaps the most crucial development challenge facing our society. We will all be aware that our society grew up of colonialism, slavery, and indentureship, in which the vast majority of our people have left out of the decision-making process. The state of affairs continues up to today, when one considers that the true meaning of local government is the involvement of the people in decisions that affect their basic needs. One sees there is almost a total absence of meaningful local government today. As such, we have a facade of local government, while the spirit of and essence of local government are totally absent. 2, as a nation, we have not been able to build on the energies and spirit of our people. My time is up. I cannot continue. I'm a very disciplined person. but I wish if I could continue my speech, if permissible, Madam Chairperson. I wish if I could be given the permission to continue my speech. The time? 2 minutes. All activities of a local native and all short-term employment should be the responsibility of local government. In this context, therefore, it is pointed out that CPEP and URP are wholly local activities and should fall under the local government. Other local government functions will include the establishment and maintenance of agricultural access traces in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Predial Lassini Gang, and the responsibility of community centers, among other matters. It is desirable to see the election of the new mayor by the electorate in respective electoral areas. The mayor is the first citizen of the particular region area, and all voters are in that area should have a say in the choice of that person. This would mean give rise to a greater nexus between the people and the head of their local government. Under the existing system, the political parties instruct their members of council to vote as mayor. In the recent Shaguanas case, we have seen how this can be cruelty manipulated, and that is an example of Mayor Natasha Navas. Of major importance is the question of crime. The rampant criminal activity existing in our society today appears to be out of control, and the government has not come up with the actions that are different to what have been existing. In this regard, I believe that communities can play a major role in this matter. This has not been addressed in the policy paper, except by passing reference. This area needs to be fully explored and a new approach generated to tap into the almost limitless resources of the communities. 6, public servants should not be appointed as CEOs of local government bodies. Public service servants are by large bureaucrats and owe their allegiance to the permanent secretary. The present CEO, who are all public servants, will not exercise the creativity and initiative that would be expected from the person heading these large organizations. They will be totally risk averse. Further, many present CEOs live outside the region. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope some I hold COP to my heart, and everyone should remember on the 21st of April 2010, the Declaration of Principles and Values was signed by in the Faizabad Accord. I hold up here today, and I ask my political leader and chairman of the party, you should carry on with the decision of what we signed for on the Faizabad Accord. May God bless you. May God bless you, and have a pleasant night.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed, I'd like for us to recognize with a rousing round of applause the political leader of the Congress of the People, the Honorable Prakash Ramada. And he's also accompanied by the Chairman of the Congress of the People, the Honorable Marilyn Susan Bacon.
The best. You can be the king, call banging on your chest. You can beat the world. You can beat the war. You can talk to God, go.
And we're moving right along because as I mentioned to you earlier, we have a very packed program, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you the chairman of the Women's Forum of the Congress of the People, Miss Alison Thomas.
Trinidad and Tobago.
COP family, it's good to be here tonight. Political leader, Chairman of the Congress of the People, Ms. Caroline C. Prasad Bechan, members of the head table, Chairperson, Ms. Dyer. Vinili, you said the universal prayer, and it was well received. But I must say, Father God, creator of the universe and all that is in it, guide my words. COP family, we are in a by-election. And it has brought out the best and the worst of us. Forgive us. It is good to be here. For the past few weeks, I have been hearing all sorts of allegations against the COP from the public, from the opposition, from the former member of parliament, from even the members who wants to be part of this partnership. Members of the COP family, listen. I heard a political meeting on Friday night. And boy, oh boy, what a tangle web we weave. I actually heard allegations of misconduct in the partnership by our former MP for Chaguanas West, of unfair treatment by the partners towards my duly elected MPs. Mind you, this former MP was there a few months ago and was part of this decision-making in the partnership. He was a chairman. COP family, open your eyes and recognize. Today, brothers and sisters, I want to call on Wazim, Winston, Clinton, and Quincy. Hear this. COP has not changed their identity, but has moreover found it now more than ever. Trinidad and Tobago is looking on. This by-election is a major element of the partnership we must recognize. Leaving the COP for ILP or anybody else at this point in time is a no-no. COP people stay fast to the cause, because this is what we are. COP people don't ever go anywhere else. Once convicted about our ideals we believe in, we stay here. So, give them a chance, they'll return. COP family, I have been hearing my former MP for Chaguanas West speaking about ideals, integrity, equity, good judgment. Listen to this. I believe firmly that he wants to be a COP. This is our thing. We spoke this. COP has continued to hold fast for what they believe. We have constitutional reform, which we just finished consultation. Listen. Our leader was given a mandate to do constitutional reform. And this is what we said we were going to do, and we are going to complete it. Let us give a hand to our leader. The most important thing for Trinidad and Tobago is constitution, and we was given the mandate to complete it. We are going to complete it. At this point in time, our Youth and Women's Forum continue to forge the way forward to reform and to recruit. Our political leader, his slogan always was promoted our values, our future, and we are going to continue that. Stay the course. My brothers and sisters, a wise old gentleman once told me, he said, Alison, because I had some disappointments, some fears, some doubts, and I said, what do you think we should do? He said, The politics of Trinidad and Tobago is ever evolving, and we are the start of it. This was given to me by Mr. Winston Dukaran, our former father. And I felt proud when he told me that. You know why? Because when I had the concerns, I say, nah leaving. COP is here to stay. COP family, we here to stay. My brothers and sisters, stay the course, because it is the COP values of inclusion, integrity, morality, and equity that will continue to shape the way forward for our people and this great nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Stay the course. One people, one nation, moving forward. Good night.
This blue crew. I'd like to recognize with us this evening the Minister of Communications, Senator the Honorable Jamal Mohammed. Senator, please show yourself. Yes, Jamal Mohammed. We also have with us this evening Alderman Robert Torrey. Alderman Torrey, where are you? There you are. Show yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we have begun, and we have Your Worship, Mayor Gaston Youssef, Mayor. So, ladies and gentlemen, this evening as we began, we spoke about the DNA of the COP, and I'm not going to get more detailed into that because we gave an overall overview of that. But when you look and you read at the Declaration of Principles of the People's Partnership, it speaks exactly to the DNA of the COP. And after each person comes on and speaks their part, I would just like to share with you one of the Declaration of Principles, and you agree with me that this sounds very much like the DNA of the COP and something that we must always remember and keep in the forefront. Declaration number 1, partner with the people in establishing the conditions in which everyone can fulfill his or her true potential so that our country can flourish on the basis of sustainable development. Everyone counts and everyone is needed. Does that sound like the DNA of the COP? Yeah! Does that sound like something we must always continue to keep at the forefront of our politics? Yeah. Does that sound like something we must continue to keep in the forefront of governance? Yeah. Let me ask that again. Does that sound like something that must be kept in the forefront of getting the politics right? Yeah. Excellent. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring on the chairman of the Youth Congress, Mr. Kieran Samaru.
Chairman of this evening's proceedings, Nicole Dyer Griffith. This evening, I'd like to recognize the political leader of the Congress of the People, the Honorable Prakash Ramada, who I don't know about you, but today he looks more like a swimmer, Mr. Ramada, than I know him from before. So congratulations, political leader, on axing the fact. Chairman of our party, the Honorable Kylan Supersad Bachan, COP Ministers of Government, Madam Chairman of this evening's proceedings, Nicole Dyer, Deputy Political Leaders, colleagues on the COP National Executive, local government representatives, members of the media, and all of you beautiful members of the COP family. Give yourselves a round of applause. And I'll tell you why. It is necessary to congratulate the members of the Congress of the People. Through thick and through thin, this party would have been nowhere without the members that keep coming out, without the members that keep persevering, without the members such as yourselves who have stayed the course. So for those members that are watching us tonight on television, and for those that are here, I would like you to help me please offer a lusty, humongous round of applause. Many people have asked, why are we here this evening? Why are we here tonight in Shogunas? This cannot be a cockroach in a fowl party. Why is the Congress of the People here tonight? Well, Shogunas has always been important to the COP. Our founding father, Winston Buchanan, started his career right here as a member of parliament for Shogunas. We all remember the famous go down with the Hulsi, go down. COP stalwart Hulsi Bagan. She stood right there on the side of the pavement and she sat on the side of the pavement to the people of Shogunas. And then she went on to sit in parliament to the people of Shogunas. That is the COP for Shogunas. There's a former member of parliament, Manohar Ramsaran. Regardless of the fact that he has his political home elsewhere today, he was a founding member of this party. And he was a member of parliament for Shogunas, and that put Shogunas again at the center of our party. In the last local government election, our party fielded not one, but 2 local government representatives. And just to let you know, I'm very sure that in the upcoming local government election, we shall be fielding 2 more, or more than that. This evening we are standing here in Gaston courts. Those of you who have been with us since 2007 and 2006 know and understand that this place is our home right here in Shogunas. Who can remember the sleepless nights that we have had? Tonight is a homecoming for the COP. Our operations center is right there in Shogunas West. And the heart of the COP our operations center is in the heart of Shogunas and in the heart of this country. COP is very, very concerned about the Shogunas West by-election, and that is why we had to be here. Some people might have said, perhaps I might have said, I prefer not to be here, but a by-election is here. And as our founding father has told us, when there is a snap election, there is a snap response. And so today the Congress of the People has found itself yet in another key part of our country's history. People think today that their choices in this election are UNC, ILP, and PNM. This is not so, my friends. As a young person, I want to tell you that to me, the choices are much different. Those parties are irrelevant, but today we are faced with a choice. We are faced with the option of continuing what we have started in 2006, in 2007, and in 2010. Those political parties that today have quite fashioned themselves after the Congress of the People. But we are looking on today at our country. We are looking on to see, and we are realizing that the residents of Shogunas West, that the country on the whole is looking on at the campaign that is being held here this evening. We have a job to do. We have a job that focuses on the promotion of new politics. Thank you very much, Nizam. You have a job to do, I also realize. We have a job that focuses on participatory democracy, that focuses on constitutional reform, that focuses on proportional representation, that focuses on the transformation of our country. I just wanted to come here tonight and urge all of us, let us not see this by-election as a UNC-COP partnership fight. This is another mark in our country's transformation process. This is a continuation of what we started in 2007. So tonight, as I urge you to look at it from that perspective, I know that some of us bear with heavy hearts the fact that we must come here today and defend what we consider to be the indefensible. We are not tonight here to defend the indefensible, but we are here to continue standing in defense of Trinidad and Tobago. With that, I thank you, and I urge us all, let us stay the course as one nation and one people.
Well said, Kieran. Stay the course for the nation Trinidad and Tobago, because you know many times when we are engaged in a political campaign, sometimes the nation Trinidad and Tobago tends to take a a sideline, a sidestep. So it's important for us to always remember the reason that we're here, the reason we're doing this, and the center of it all is always the people. The nucleus of this political thing that we're involved in always must revolve around the people. And that is why I would like to read another of the Declaration of Principles: build a diverse and democratic society that respects human rights, in which all people live in dignity and security, free of all forms of discrimination on the basis of religion, color, or gender, where labor is respected, and which fosters the culture of dialogue to facilitate on an increase of understanding and mutual trust between individuals and groups. For these are the premise of authentic peace. Ladies and gentlemen, do you agree with this principle? Isn't it not refreshing to hear issues and principles and things that actually have an impact on the life, the quality of life of the people of Trinidad and Tobago? If you agree with me, let me hear you say yeah. I'd also like to recognize in the audience here with us this evening the Deputy Mayor of Arima, Ms. Patricia Motivier, the members of the National Executive of the Congress of the People. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're live on 102.1 FM, Heritage 101.7 FM, and Win TV Channel 12. I would take this opportunity now to introduce this other speaker. He is the current Secretary of Field Operations of the Congress of the People, having been elected in October of 2012. He is a professional boxer with a record of 21 wins and 2 losses, and you know, as a segue, one day we had a bit of a disagreement. I had a bit of a disagreement with the next speaker, and I said, let's take this outside. And when we stepped outside, I said, but wait, Nicole, you forget who you're dealing with? I said, another time, and went back in. This other speaker is a 9-time national champion and 4-time Caribbean champion in boxing. He has also held the WBA Latin American Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Secretary of Field Operations, Mr. Kurt Sinek.
Pleasant good evening to each and everyone, political leader, chairman, members of the head table, brothers and sisters. I, like Mark Antony, have come here tonight not to praise Caesar, but to bury him. I've come here tonight as my party have asked me to support the People Partnership by supporting the yellow candidate for this by-election in Shogunas West. This should be an easy task, but I have a conflict. And as you know, I am a boxer. I never run from any fight. So let me share with you how I will deal with this conflict. When I walked around this country today and I hear the cry of the people in disgust, I say, all over this country people are saying one thing: where is the COP gone? The cup I voted for, where are them? Where is the cup of Winston Dukran and the new politics? These are hard questions for each and every one of us to ask. Let us go back for a moment when I had joined and you had joined this party. For me, I believe I joined this party because of the philosophy of the party. That is politics of Winston Dukran, new politics. And I continue in it because I continue to try to make sure that we get the politics right. How many people have I heard voted for the People Partnership because of the COP? The People Charter contains 76 documents of good governance. Things like honesty and integrity. No, not tolerating any form of corruption, having the highest moral principle and ethical standards, refrain from practice that promote divisiveness, inclusive and race, and any more. And perhaps most important, a party in power shall not permit a minister to lay foundation stones, etc., of project like a gas station and a school. Distribute house land to electors like county lands and HDC houses. These are things you are not supposed to do. So when I see people being driven across to the green, after all their leader have done for this country, is bring shame, because we have given these people no choice. Then I know the COP has gone too far. When I am called upon by Hima Ramkisoon to answer if the PP government providing good governance, and I am moved to tell her no, then I know that I have gone too far. When I hear people say that there is no new politics, just crapper politics, then I know that the COP has gone too far. I want to tell you tonight that the yellow and the green have broken almost all, if not all, the codes of conduct expected of them, because both are the same. And when I have to pick up a newspaper and read that my own party is being accused of accepting funds from the same contractor that are financing the yellow campaign without any refute, then I know the cup has gone too far. I say to you tonight, my brothers and sisters, that the new politics is not a problem. It is the people are not applying the new politics. They are the problem. These people are everywhere. In the green, in the red, in the yellow, and even in the white. I say to you tonight that we have a code of ethics that we have to live by, and it does not allow us to compromise our principle. You cannot have a partner who has trampled over that code of ethics and still continue in the partnership. It brings me back to the Bible. The wheat and the tare shall grow together until the time of harvest. I ask you, is my 5 minutes up? Is my 5 minutes up? I find out very fast. I ask you, who listen on the radio and television, on TV, do you really believe the COP has been able to deliver new politics which our founding father have asked for? I can tell you, as Secretary of Field Operation, that the people on the road do not believe. They feel we have gone too far. And if the cup is not true to the founding principle, this relation with the yellow must come to an end. To that end, I will be moving a motion at the next National Council to quit the People Partnership government and to return to the partnership of the people. My brothers and sisters, I'm asking you like Joshua did. Let us lead the people to the promised land. May God bless you and may God bless this nation. I thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're certainly going to have some media tomorrow. Did you all notice when he turned to ask us my 5 minutes up, I made no suggestion to even approach the podium? But ladies and gentlemen, on a serious note, you see, this is why we appreciate the organization that we're a part of. What was just stated here may not have been perhaps what we expected. However, because of the type of organization that the Congress of the People is designed to be, the DNA with which I spoke to, the DNA that allows expression, good, bad, or indifferent, the DNA that allows people to speak, the DNA that allows you to respond, the DNA that allows the leaders to hear certain things and to make next steps. That is the DNA that allows people to think. That is the DNA of the Congress of the People. And even though we may not be happy with things, that the way things are going, the way things are said, it is the DNA of the COP that keeps it moving. So do you agree with me? So ladies and gentlemen, as we get this back on track, as we get this right back on track, I'd also like to recognize the Minister of Planning and Development, there is another point that I would like to make, and I would like us to remain a little bit quiet whilst I make this point. You see, in the midst of these by-elections, there is one particular segment of people, even though all of the attention is being given around the people, I have not heard it mentioned but once, any type of congratulations to the people of Chaguanas West. And I believe that it is dependent upon us, the Congress of the People, to congratulate every single man, woman, and child resident in Chaguanas West for the management that they have demonstrated in having so many political organizations come into their communities and to still be professional enough to allow everyone to have their own point of view, good, bad, or indifferent. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in giving the people of Chaguanas West a rousing round of applause. And with that, I'd like to introduce the founding member of the Congress of the People, one of the very many, former Secretary of Finance and current Deputy Political of the Congress of the People, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Anirudh Mahabir.
That music only taking up my speaking time. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. People, we are live on 101, we are live on Heritage, we are live on Win TV, but we are live here at Gaston Court as well. And what we just heard, ladies and gentlemen, is democracy at work. People say whatever they want to say in Congress of the People. We're not saying they're right or wrong, it is their opinion. It might be a minority opinion or not. But let me move you to something where an independent person assessed where we are and what we're doing. And I'll take you to, those of you who didn't read it, the editorial of last week, Wednesday the 17th. And listen very carefully, this is a gentleman who is not COP. This is a gentleman who writes opinions, editorials in the newspaper, and just listen to what he has to say. It is the first time I've seen a public person write something that is so truthful and who gets the point and who knows exactly what the COP is doing and why we are doing it. And I quote here, certainly no one, it's a Newsday, 17th of July, certainly no one would envy Ramadan at the gentle balancing act he must constantly perform to help keep both his party and the People's Partnership ruling coalition united, while staying true to the COP's vow of transparency and a new politics that aspires to set a higher ethical standard in politics than existed prior. Some commentators say the COP should merge with the UNC, while others say they should totally break away, all indicating that Ramada is steering a middle course of keeping the COP as alive, intact, and political water. Past election results suggest to us that rather than policy or personality, the one key factor that decides whether TNT gets a PNM government or not is whether the other political forces are united or divided. United they stand and divided they fall. We in the COP are part of the partnership. When we signed the Faisal Accord, we signed a contract with the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The Congress of the People is not going to stand here and break that contract. The Congress of the People is not going to stand here and cause your government to fall because people have their selfish ends. Because if we fall, the only people are going to win is the PNM. And if we don't stand here in Chaguanas West at this by-election, and we don't fight it, and the partnership doesn't win it, I don't have to tell you what is going to happen. Do you realize in the recent few days, the PNM is saying nothing about Jack? When Jack was in the UNC, we were fighting Jack every day. All of a sudden, Jack is the enemy of the UNC. They're now friends with the PNM. Do you want the PNM back as the next government? If you don't want the PNM next government, you have to support the partnership. That is why the COP is here fighting in Chaguanas West, not only for the survival of the partnership, not only for the survival of the Congress of the People, but also for the survival of good politics in Trinidad and Tobago. Just think of what will happen. Just think of what will happen if ILP wins. Not today, not just next week when they win. What are they going to do when they have won, if they win? What is going to happen in the general elections? What will happen in the local elections? When we have a situation where you can pay a man $100,000 to come on the stage and read a letter against your party, when you have a situation where you can pay people to cross borders, move from one party to the next, we don't want that kind of government in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't want a government in Trinidad and Tobago where they're paying for everything. They're paying for favors. Congress of the People, we believe in the issues. And I really was supposed to talk to you about the People's Charter tonight. And my time is up already. But I will take 2 more minutes. And I heard my leader tell me take more time. So thank you. I will just read something else again. It's just a matter of explaining to you why we are here in Chaguanas West. I know most people agree that we should be here. Most people understand why we are here. But for the few people who still have doubts, I will just write something that came out of the political leader's mouth, actually. And this is what he said. The COP entered the partnership at a critical time politically. And we are now again in the midst of a critical time. And once again, the Congress of the People will not hide from its commitment to the people to raise the standard of government. We will not hide. When things get tough, the COP gets tougher. The COP believes that signing a contract means something. that giving one's word and sticking to it is a part of honor and a part of integrity. And that's what we are. The COP believes that when the terms of a contract must be reassessed and potentially changed, that must be done based on sober discussion and reason. A contract should not be ignored when it is difficult to live up to. In fact, it is at those challenging times when living up to its word becomes most important to the COP. Ladies and gentlemen, I am convinced that the COP is going to make a difference in Chaguanas West. Ladies and gentlemen, I am convinced the COP is going to change the politics in Trinidad even more than it has. I thank you tonight for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anirudh Mahabi. And ladies and gentlemen, we're moving right along because, as I mentioned, we have a packed program. But before I introduce the next speaker, I'd just like to take a few minutes to send a shout out to Member of Parliament for Arima and Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister, Roger Samuel. I know that he is on a 7-day fast, so ladies and gentlemen, let him know that we're thinking about him. The next speaker is the Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism and Member of Parliament for the constituency of Lopino Bonia West. He was elected into office on May 24, 2012. Prior to his appointment as the Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism, Minister Douglas served as the Minister of State in the Ministry of the People and Social Development. He is currently the Deputy Political Leader of the Congress of the People. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Lincoln Douglas.
Thank you, my brothers and sisters. It's a joy to be here with you once again, with the political leader, the chairman of our party, other deputy political leaders, members of government, my other local government councillors, and the whole COP family. It's really a joy to be here. The Congress of the People stands really at a threshold and at a very critical juncture in the history of Trinidad and Tobago and in the history of the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to recommend to the people of Chaguanas West that the ball is in your court to choose, and I want to encourage you to choose wisely. I want you to choose representation that will benefit you. You know, Chaguanas West, you have a test before you, and that is to demonstrate to the nation that you have the capacity, the capability to choose a good leader, someone who would be a good representative and able to function as part of a team. Most people don't understand what representation is. They feel that if you're lining with them on the corner, if you give them money, if you just hang out with them, if you make promises to them that you're not sure you will keep, that if you continue to say things that sound good but you really mean it, if you believe one thing today but tomorrow when it's convenient to you and the people around you, you change your mind. Some people feel that is representation. But in the Congress of the People, we believe more than that. We believe that a good representative should first of all be willing to participate with the people. And by participation, we're talking about empowering your people versus using your people. Now, you know somebody is using you when they don't really care about you. You know somebody is using you when they make promises to you that they don't really plan to keep. You know somebody is using you when they give you something, but they're really giving you that to get something else more from you. You know somebody is using you when they treat you like an object and not a subject. An object is a thing that they have a real feeling, and you can move it from here to there because they don't really care. A subject is someone that is able to participate in its own direction. And if you see somebody behaving like that, you know that person they intend to be a good leader. They don't intend to participate with you. They don't intend to really make you a strong and an empowered person. We believe that people who are good leaders should follow the rule of law, and they should not be lawless. Lawlessness means you don't care really about living in community. The reason why we live in a country called Trinidad and Tobago, it means that we are subject to the laws of this land. It mightn't be all that you want it to be. It mightn't be that you were part of making it, but we realize that this is good so that the whole community of Trinidad and Tobago should function. Now, if you see a man who is committed to breaking the law and to pretending like he had break the law, if you see a man who is committed to changing the law and then saying that no problem, if you see a man who is asked to be brought before the law and refused to be brought before the law, if you see a man who is not willing to stand up and face the consequences of his actions, then you know, but always put it off on somebody else, then you know that that person is planning to be a good leader. If you know a person when they're under threat and they feel that they are put under pressure, they lash back by trying to put out hit on people and try to put people in trouble, you know that person is not willing to participate in the law. And such a person is not responsible and fit for leading a country or leading a community. This is what we believe as a Congress of We believe in the rule of law. We believe in transparency, understanding and helping people to understand what's going on. We don't believe in slipping people the Mickey. We don't believe in the hand is faster than the eye. We don't believe in shenanigans and manipulation of people and the systems of government so that you could get your own way. We don't believe these things in the Congress of the people. That's why we take a stand against that. We believe in transparency. People should have an opportunity to know what's going on. They should have an opportunity to question you about what's going on. And when they ask a question, you must answer. And if you can't answer, say you don't know, and don't make up a lie. We don't believe in telling bold-faced lie when you know it's a lie and everybody else knows it's a lie. We don't believe in lying to the national community. That is not proper leadership. And so I'm encouraging the people of Chaguanas West to choose wisely. Look at the people who are presenting themselves. I ain't telling you right now who to vote. I'm telling you to look carefully. Look carefully. And see who lied and who are lying and choose wisely. We believe in that leaders should be responsive to the people and not be dismissive of them. That leaders should look for consensus, a way of mobilizing and organizing communities and people so that they can do the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe in equity and inclusiveness. We don't believe in racism. We don't believe in talking down to people. We don't believe in othering people and saying them people up there and them across there. We don't believe that black is better than white or Indian is better than African or African is better than Indian or those people across there deserve more than those. We don't believe those things. Those things are lies. They are designed to destroy communities of people. We have seen it throughout the world and in various parts of the world where the people who subscribe to that doctrine have brought great destruction. And we are not subscribing to that in Chaguanas. We are not subscribing to that in Arima. We are not subscribing to that in Trinidad and Tobago. We, the Congress of people, will not stand for racism and any ideas that tend to define our people. Speak up. We believe in accountability. That leaders must give an account of the work they do. And not only of the work they do, they must give an account of the money they spend. We believe in these things. We don't believe in papi showing people and at every corner, and when people ask for an account, you have no answer to give. Or you don't know. Or you pretend. Or you blame it on somebody else. These are not the ideas of good leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important that you choose wisely. You cannot have a good government, you cannot have good governance if you don't choose good people. And so, today, the people of Chaguanas West are faced with a challenge to demonstrate to the nation that they are able to choose and to choose wisely. In the Congress of the people, we are not pretending that these things are easy things or they are very easy to come by. These are challenging times and they are challenging prospects, but they are ideals that we must aspire to. And if you see somebody who's not aspiring, they don't really care about law or they don't care about the ideals that would keep a society together, that would make a people work with each other, that would help people to love each other, that would build institutions that would strengthen our family, our children, and so forth. If you see people who don't subscribe to these things, you know that those are people that you should keep out of the leadership of the country. And so, the political leader of the COP is committed to these principles. Things take time. Some people feel that as you jump on a bandwagon, as you start an idea, it should happen immediately. Things take time. When you get into government, there are a whole range of things that you have to cipher out and figure out and solve, and relationships that you have to work on before you could even start really implementing something. These things take time. And so, when I talked last time about who want to go can go, I'm talking about organizations. We have some that have gone, who say that good governance is happening, we give them this 2 weeks, and if that ain't happening, we gone. And so they gone. We are not of that. You have to do the hard work, build relationships, organize people, teach people, build community so that you can deliver what is right to the people. But some people think that everything should be easy, that we should take the road, the easy road. Living is an easy road, you know. Just getting up and walk away. Most people who just get up and walk out of their marriage, they don't give it even time to work. I know about that. I have been married 29 years now. To the same person. Since I was a little boy. And it's not easy going. It's not always a bed of roses. I remember it was 8 years into my marriage, and I still want to say, but wait now, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And it takes learning a new set of ways and behaviors and restructuring my thoughts before you could finally figure out what you do. Some people, from the time they get in a position, they come in there, get no food or thing on the table, they're ready to jump and go their way and say, this thing ain't working. Well, everything takes time, and you have to grow up and become mature to understand that life is full of nuances. And the people who have vision and who are mature in the long run, they will come out way ahead. And that is what we advocate in the COP. We advocate patience, hard work, commitment, and doing what you have to do so that in the long run, everybody will come out further ahead. That's what we believe in. Some have taken the path of least resistance and they have gone. Well, let them go. We are not of them that draw back, but we are the believers. We believe in this nation of Trinidad and Tobago. The bell ring? Yeah. I hear that at all by you. We believe in this country. We believe in authority. We believe in organization. We believe in all the principles of good governance. And so, I ask you to believe also. And we will continue to work. We will continue to commit ourselves. In closing, I want to tell you a story. It's an old story. Most of you have heard it. It's the story of the Pied Piper. You remember that story? Yes. The town of Hamlin had a problem. They had plenty of rats in the town and they didn't know what to do. So this man came and said, like you get rid of the rats for you. They say, all right, fine, we'll pay a big set of money to get rid of the rats. They pay him some money. He had a magic flute, and he played the flute, and all the rats follow him. And he take them out into the sea, and they drown. When he come for the money, the mayor of the town tell him, nah, we ain't giving him home money. Whatever was his reason, he didn't like magic or whatever, he didn't pay the man the money. The man went away, and he come back the next year with that same flute blowing. And whilst all the leaders were in church, he started blowing the flute, and the children gathered around him. And he walked all the children out into the sea, just like he walked the rats. Now I tell you, we have got rid of the rats. But there are some people with magic flute coming around blowing. And all the people who are simple-minded want to follow and follow and follow. I want to advise the people of Chaguanas West and the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, there are no easy solutions to problems. Choose wisely and get yourself good governance. And so I thank you.
once again for the Honorable Dr. Lincoln Douglas. And you know, the values to which Dr. Douglas spoke of are so true. And sometimes we tend to forget about these values. And these values do not only apply to some. These values do not only apply to a chosen few. These values apply to me. They apply to you. They apply to the COP. They apply to every single political organization on the landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. If you agree with me, let me hear you say yeah. And as we're speaking on values, I'd just like to share with you the values of the People's Partnership according to the Declaration of the Principles: selflessness, integrity. Feel free to agree as I go on, so I'll start again. Selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, dialogue, and leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming on the next speaker is the Minister of Public Administration and the Member of Parliament for the constituency of San Fernando West. Minister Sipasad Bachin was appointed Trinidad and Tobago's first woman Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs. Minister Sipasad Bachin served as chairman of the National Petroleum Company and an opposition senator, earning a reputation in and out of Parliament as one of Trinidad and Tobago's most respected energy spokespersons. Minister Sipasad Bachin is currently the chairman of the Congress of the People. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Honorable Caroline Sipasad Bachin.
Along the road, hands in the air, people everywhere, love and unity is there. It's that time of year where we don't care. It don't matter where you're from, put your flag in the air.
People, the Honorable Prakash Ramana, and Minister of Legal Affairs and Member of Parliament for St. Gaston. Let's hear him for a round of applause for him. Our Deputy Chairman doing a great job this evening. Let's hear how for the woman. And to you, all of the members of the head table, and to you, the members here, sitting here, those of you listening to us on Heritage Radio 101 and on viewing us on Win TV, I say a special welcome this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you are here tonight because you are serious. You are serious about your politics and value your votes highly. You don't plan to waste your vote. You plan to use it in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago. And that COP stands for. The COP will not disappoint you because we are here for the same purpose. We are here to help you make the most of your vote and to provide you with the information you need to make the best possible choice. I just want to say last week, Tuesday, at our meeting here in Chaguanas West, we made it very clear that we supported the partnership. We made it clear that we were supporting the partnership's candidate. And we were very, very clear that we stood firm by our decision to be part of this coalition that now governs this country.
That's right.
So tell me why we will put up a website supporting a Green Party with a one-man executive. Any of you saw that? Tell me who would seek to benefit by linking our party, a party of principle, with an unprincipled attempt to use our name on a website supporting an opposition candidate. Who would do something as senseless as that? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it is because there are desperate people outside there. Last week I spoke of campaign finance reform and the funding of political parties. Well, we know what we stand for. You know what we stand for. The many people who voted for our party in the last election knew what we stand for. Yet there is a candidate so green at the politics of principle that he asks the question, who paid for Tuesday's COP meeting in Felicity at the Felicity Hindu School? Did you hear that question? Yes. Let me tell you, we are glad
for the opportunity to go on record about who paid for that meeting. The COP is a party of principle, and we paid that money from our account. We virtually drained our RBC account. But let me tell you, Win TV was paid with a check from RBC for the amount of $35,000. And I can provide you with a copy of that check. What account is that? That is the account that you, the members of this party, make your monthly contribution to. So there was no contractor. Let that be said. In COP, we have no big donors. This party is not owned by any big donor. Let that go on record. We don't even have any donor more than $20,000. It is because of you, the people, the membership of this party, who want to see change in the politics of this country, that you contribute every month. And that is what we use to pay for it. And yes, we have outstanding bills. We drained our account. But if we have to run cake sales, we will do it to pay our bills. Not a problem. My friends, we are not going to ask for millions for a Christmas party. We are party. We are not a party. We're not here to party, whether Christmas or otherwise. We are here to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We are here to transform the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, and with your help, we will do so. Many of you were of the view that I should not answer. And just to respond to Kurt, that email with that information went out to all national executive members. I'm sorry to know that you did not get that email, which outlined how we paid for those expenses last week, Tuesday. But I got the opportunity tonight to say how it was done. But you know, many of you were of the view that I should not answer Mr. Warner. But I found it was a golden opportunity for us to present this party's operations, how transparent and open we are, and to demonstrate the principles by which we stand for. It gives us that opportunity. We have plenty of evidence to show who paid for our meeting, so our accusers need to bring other things. So now that I have answered Mr. Warner, I want to know if Mr. Warner is prepared to answer our questions. And that is, are you going to tell us how you fund your political broadcast, your fireworks, your $500,000, almost everyone? If you add up the cost in terms of coverage, who is paying for that? We want to be transparent and open? Let us be transparent and open. You want to be part of the partnership? Let us do so. When people are economical with the truth, spend money freely, you can bet that is what I call other people's money. I have been talking about party financing and party financiers. You may recall that we had a symposium on the financing of political parties on Sunday, 9th of June, and I dealt with this last week. The point we are making here, and I want to repeat this point, it is not that we are against big donors. We are saying that there are new systems. Many countries all over the world today are encouraging their political parties, and by law, they are required to have their big donors registered. And the reason for that is that you can, at the end of the day, know where there's a conflict of interest when that political party goes into government. And therefore, there was no undue political interference in any process in the procurement of goods and services using taxpayers' dollars. And therefore, we are not against any big donors. But if you want to donate to the COP, we will accept. But note that it will have to be declared. And in the interest of you, because we do not want to discriminate against big donors either. Because I hear sometimes how people criticize big donors of political parties. And without facts, we want to ensure that you are also treated fairly and equitably, and therefore that you are given a fair opportunity to participate in the competitive processes that involves the procurement of goods and services using taxpayers' dollars. And this is why Dr. Tiwari has been speaking so much about procurement legislation and why it is so important. Because this is complementary to when we are talking about party financing. Procurement is important. But you see, the PNM, who comes every Friday in the Parliament, and Mr. Rowley and his group when they come and they talk corruption and corruption and corruption, they could never give you facts. And I want to tell you something. We are not a party that will go down denigrating or maligning or destroying anybody's character or any company's character because we do not have facts. Bring the facts. And if you are so concerned about corruption, please, Mr. Rowley and others, support the Joint Select Committee and pass the procurement legislation now. Don't tell me about corruption and corruption. Let's deal with the systems that are required. We need the new procurement regime, and let us put all of this to rest. And wherever the chips fall, it will fall. If there is corruption, we can deal with it. Those very same procurement regimes will be able to reveal that. And I thought I should make that point here this evening, because I have seen how many times that we have been able to diss and malign good characters, good companies, because of their affiliation with a political party. All I'm saying is, let us give them a fair chance to compete in the process. At the end of the day, the taxpayers want value for money. I listened to Mr. Warner, and Alison said it here this evening, and she talked about suddenly there is so much interest in the coalition, and you know how much you advocated, Prakash and Lincoln. You all any? Bo, you ever remember Mr. Warner advocating for more COP ministers? What? Oh Lord. I thought I probably heard wrong, right? But you know what was amazing? All during that time when you were in the cabinet and we were talking about coalition governments and what it means and what it involves in coalition politics and all the models all over the world, when we tabled them at chairman's meetings, Mr. Warner, why did you not support us then? Why today are you supporting the Congress of the people in terms of coalition politics? You know what is amazing is I wonder sometimes if it is about yesterday is yesterday and today is today and tomorrow is tomorrow. So when you become, let's say hypothetically, you become the member of parliament, you win this election and you want to join the partnership, are you prepared to subscribe to the coalition? Are you prepared to support your other partners equitably? Or would you want ILP to own all the seats in the cabinet? Because yesterday was yesterday, and today what you say in the platform is not relevant to what you say tomorrow. And that is the problem I have. You cannot be, and I'm glad that Nicole is reading out all those principles and values of this accord. Because the problem I have, and I want to say this to all, at no point in time do we ever compromise our foundational principles in this party. My friends, in the interest of this country, you know when you joined this party, it was about the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. Your party takes positions that are in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. Our motto is about putting country first. You heard it. Go back to our 2007 manifesto, the People's Charter, the very same People's Charter that Kurt referred to. And therefore, there are times that we will take positions, not necessarily that are in the interest of the COP, but that is in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. My friends, this is why we will compromise on policies once it is in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, and it is in the interest of bettering the quality of life of this nation. But at no point in time will we ever compromise our principles or our underlying philosophy. And that is why we speak about change, And you know, I'm suddenly hearing about change. Everybody's interested in change. I hear the PNM talking about change. But for 40 years they're there and no change. What happened to the constitution reform exercise? Their constitution reform exercise ended up in what? How to develop and how to institute an autocratic leader, a president and a prime minister in one, controlling the entire executive, the legislature, and everything, my friends. Today, when we speak about constitution reform as headed by our political leader as Minister of Legal Affairs, we are doing widespread consultation. And yes, many issues are arising, whether they are issues of the environment. People feel the environment must be part of the constitution. People feel that probably it is time now for us to start separating the legislature from the executive, so that the legislature can have better oversight on the executive. That is the kind of meaningful discussions that we want. The fundamental principle of democracy is that it is government of the people, by the people, for the people. It is not one man with money that may not even be his right, by right calling the shots for us, for our children, and for our children's children. That is not democracy. That is purchasing power. And I want us to understand that. You know, as we speak about the separation between the member of parliament and the ministers, one of the issues coming up, and you know, again too, the PNM, Mr. Rowley, talking all this new, change. But you know, when we suggested the constituency fund, that was met with so much opposition. Today, I hear so much discussion on representation and who is the best MP, etc. But the point is that not every member of parliament is in a delivery ministry. I want to tell you that either as Minister of Energy or Minister of Public Administration, I am not the Minister of Energy or Minister of Public Administration for my constituency. I am for the entire country. When you are the Minister of Legal Affairs, you are not the Minister of Legal Affairs for St. Gaston. You are the Minister of Legal Affairs for Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, when I hear people talk about how much is done in constituencies, I wonder what really is happening. And therefore, you know, when the constituency fund was proposed, was to ensure that there was equity across the board in our country, that every part of Trinidad and Tobago can be developed. And therefore, if that is the case, every MP can participate with the development plans for their constituency. That is how you judge their delivery. Let us say that I get $10 million, you can judge me by how I spend that $10 million once there's proper governance in place and proper procedures in place. I want you to know that once there's proper governance of the fund, you judge me on how I develop my constituency and how I stretch that dollar and give you value for money as a constituent. And therefore, I could not understand why the PNM would object to that constituency fund. Why would that happen? But you see, I'll tell you why. Because I always recall when Colum Imbert, when he was Minister of Works, and there was an issue. Do you recall in Barapore when people got no roads? What happened? They ended up burning tires. And he stood up and said, you know, well, that is Barapore. Almost like this is not our area. And we had to respond to him and tell him, listen, you are not the Minister of Works for PNM constituencies only. You are a Minister of Works for Trinidad and Tobago. And our policy is that every part of this nation should be developed. No part of this country should be left behind. That is the policy of the People's Partnership. My friends, I know my time is up, but I want to say, we want to support the transformation, whether it's in the public service. I want you to know that yes, we want the best quality service at the lowest cost in the shortest possible time. And as I said to you the last time, you deserve it. Your money pays for it, and you are the rock on which this country is built. You should not have to beg for houses or roads or box trains. These rights are yours, and they are not gifts. Clearly, what is emerging from all of these consultations, it is clear that people are recognizing these issues. But I want to just touch on two other issues very quickly. Let me say that I was indeed very disappointed when I looked on and I heard pictures of Khadija Amin on a political platform. When you take pictures out of context and denigrate people's characters, I want all the women in all the political parties in this country to condemn that, because that is denigrating the women in our politics of Trinidad and Tobago. We should be encouraging more women to join the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. But it's because of acts like that that we do not, more women stay away from the politics. We need that equal gender balance in our politics. We need to bring both perspectives together, men and women. But you know, the first thing that you do is you attack the women. You denigrate their character because they are at most risk. I am not interested in any medical records of Khadija Amin. I am interested in what she can do for Chaguanas West when she becomes an... I hope Mr. Warner and others understand that that is not the example. That is all politics, and do not set that as the example for the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. As I end, my ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring one last point to you, and that is, it is clear now that good governance is the issue that is facing us right now in Trinidad and Tobago. It is clear that while we stand here, it is not about how much we deliver. It is not about what we deliver, but it is about the how in it. Yes, it is important to know that we are delivering as a government. Yes, it is important to know what we are delivering, but equally important is the how behind that delivery. And that means people will know that we are transparent, we are honest. We have found with public officers, the customers are saying that we don't mind if we didn't get the service. What we want to know is that the public officer on the other side was genuine, honest, treated me fairly, did not discriminate, and at the end of the day, you did everything in your power to serve me. That is what our people need, and that is what we have to deliver as a government. The COP will continue, my friends, to be about that, and we will continue to promote that agenda to make that change happen. My friends, COP is not a party for parties. We are committed to the partnership and the coalition. This is not a schizophrenic party. We know where we stand and what we stand for. When we take positions, it is in the interest of this country. Let me tell you, we welcome anything and we have nothing to hide. I showed you tonight how we are clean. Let those who questioned us answer your questions. But you need to be honest with the people and show where the money came from. Even if it went to a Christmas party, all accounts must be shown. My friends, and just on that last note, I want to say, I condemn that issue that we saw on the Sunday Express. The contractor that contributed to that fund, I want you to understand what has happened to all the other contractors in the Ministry of Works. Do you really expect after one contractor donating millions that you will expect them to be unbiased? Do you expect that they will be treated unfairly or fairly? These are the questions that we must ask. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and may God continue to give us the wisdom and the courage to go forward to change the politics of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better than that. The chairman of the Congress of the People, and before we move to our final speaker, we have a house announcement that, we take care of our people. So immediately after the meeting, refreshments will be served as you make your way to the my left of the auditorium. So ladies and gentlemen, you recall when I spoke about the DNA of the Congress of the People, and you recall as we proceeded with the meeting, we spoke about the principles and values that keeps the People's Partnership together and that we all signed on. So I would just like to recap before I introduce the other speaker, and I want you to agree with me as loudly as you possibly can because we need to raise the energy for this speaker to come on. Do you agree that all of these principles must run across the board for you, for me, for every single political organization in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you believe that the COP DNA remains intact? Whilst, as Lincoln Douglas said, our personality will adjust accordingly, but our DNA remains intact. Do you agree? Do you agree that the COP must continue on the journey and campaign finance reform? Do you agree? Do you agree in this constitutional reform? We continue to push that issue as we move forward. Do you agree? Do you agree in speaking about the issues and debating the issues and bringing those issues to the fore comes on, he mentioned, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? And I'd invite the next speaker's number one supporter, Irvi, to come up in front and join the Minister of Legal Affairs and Member of Parliament for the constituency of St. Gaston. Before entering active politics, Minister Ramadan was one of Trinidad and Tobago's most talented and well-respected attorneys at law for more than 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the current political leader